Have you ever considered that your audience growth strategy might actually be keeping your nervous system stuck in survival mode? That might be the reason why business can feel exhausting at times. It has to do with the model itself requiring more from you than you can reasonably hold, more than your life can actually sustain. Today, I want to talk about the connection between audience growth, nervous system regulation, burnout, and why I think some business models are inherently more demanding than others. If this sounds like something you're interested in, then keep on listening. Welcome to the Savvy Founder Podcast, where vision meets strategy. Get ready to unlock the power of mindset and entrepreneurship and demystify the art of systemizing your business for success. I'm your host, Janae Reed, an engineer turned master mindset coach and systems expert. Are you ready to transform your business and mindset? Then let's dive in and make your vision a reality right here on the Savvy Founder Podcast. There's this catch-22 that I see a lot of people living in, and it's an interesting one to put words to. And what it is that if you are in a place where you need your business to grow so that you're able to create more space in your life, so that you have more flexibility, more freedom, but the way that you've been taught to grow actually requires a consistent input of energy to the point where there just honestly isn't the space to give it. It feels like you wake up in the morning and you're already really behind. There's 47 mental tabs that are open, and there's only so much you can consciously keep track of, and let alone if you're in a stressed state, it's even fewer items. And so it might feel like things are even slipping through the crack because you're not able to keep track of all the things. There's this constant pressure to post, to be visible, to show up. And it literally can just feel like if you're not able to show up daily or weekly, then everything will just crumble. It's this underlying lesson that's being embedded of rest is not safe. If your nervous system is constantly responding to your environment, then that means that your nervous system is constantly listening to your environment. And if that is your environment, then that means that rest is not safe. It means that your business, the way it's operating, the way it's running, is literally teaching your body something. And so we have to ask ourselves, what is it teaching me? What is it conditioning me to be like? Because if your business is teaching your body that when you slow down, that means that you start to lose momentum. If you rest, that means that you've disappeared, you're invisible, that you have to constantly show up, that every single thing that you're doing depends on you, then naturally your nervous system is going to be in this place where it feels like it needs to constantly be hypervigilant, which means that you are literally curating the environment for burnout, because there is balance that is necessary when it comes to everything, but definitely your nervous system. When I think of nervous system, I don't think of the person on a yoga mat zenned out, resting and relaxing. I literally think of it as, are we regulated to the point where we are able to have an appropriate response to our environment? Which means, does it really make sense for rest to feel unsafe? No, I think most people would agree with that. However, you can be conditioned to think that way, and you can feel maybe even really unsettled, almost restless when you are quote unquote resting, but your body's not actually allowing you to go to that place because of this conditioning. And this conditioning, a lot of times people will talk about it from childhood and people that you've grown up around, and not really thinking about it in terms of your business. But for most business owners, there's a lot of time that you're spending in your business. Even if you're established, we have to actively work on the way that your body's responding to your business, which means that we're really having a conversation about your business operating model. This is not personal failure. This is your body responding to the environment it's been placed in. There's a difference between sustainable growth and constant creation, constant input of energy. And I think this is really where nuance starts to matter, because you can enjoy content creation. This is not about not liking social media. This is not about never working hard. I enjoy posting content for my audience. I also am someone who likes working hard on things that I enjoy. There will be seasons of intensity for sure. There are launch seasons, there are building seasons, but there's a big difference between an intentional intensity where you're building a business to last versus building a business that is permanently living in emergency mode. I know over the last few episodes, I've talked a lot about the visibility model, and the reason that that topic is so important is, for one, the majority of time that business owners will spend in their business is on promoting their business, is on the visibility. And some visibility models naturally require more from you than others. I need to post this every day. Constant input is required in order for it to continue working. There are also some where you can actually compound without having that constant input. And that really comes down to how the visibility model itself is structured. When I start thinking about visibility and I start talking about long-term content or search-based growth, assets that, compound over time, and having ecosystems that really last for the long haul, I think that this is really where you are able to set up a foundation that you're able to benefit from it over the long haul. That conversation around visibility is not just a strategic conversation. It's a nervous system conversation too, because you're building something that your body has to coexist with. Trust in knowing that when space is needed, space will be there, and that space won't be harmful to the mission vision that you're creating. That's where you're not putting yourself in a position where burnout is inevitable, because there's that spaciousness that is just inherent. I used to think that the answer was just becoming someone who could handle more. Can I just create more content? Can I be more consistent? Can I start being consistent next Monday? Maybe I just need to do whatever it takes to get in front of more people so more people can see me and I can do more. And so if I just keep posting, I can do that. But eventually I realized that the reason it wasn't working had nothing to do with what I was capable of, because I had honestly just put myself in this business model where my nervous system never really felt safe inside of it. My body was constantly bracing for impact. If you've ever been in an accident or know someone who's been in an accident, or you've experienced sports collisions like body on body, then you may have heard people talk about or experience the body tightening before impact, and just how much more harm that does when you're holding on versus your body kind of like absorbing the energy and allowing it to move through. Yes, there's still the impact, but the ripple effect of that impact is different. And the same happens when your business feels unpredictable or when slowing down feels dangerous. You can't really access creativity the same way. You can't access spaciousness the same way. And that's how a lot of people are operating their business. They're in this place where they're constantly bracing for the impact, and they're doing whatever they can to try and make sure that they don't get hit. The other morning, I was actually making breakfast and making my matcha, and the kids were running around. And I saw a payment notification come in. I saw the email when I first woke up of new people accessing my secret podcast, of a couple people joining my waitlist for Audience Growth Engine. I was in Telegram having conversations with my clients, and I took a step back because I was able to just see the power of systems in real time, because it's always connected with if a system works, it's going to save you time. The other thing that stood out to me the most was just the true ability to be present, this grounding energy that was just around that. It wasn't actually the notification that was the biggest part of the moment. It was just the fact that I realized that my body isn't bracing for impact anymore. And I can enjoy the different parts of the day. And it felt like I finally had enough space to actually be where my feet were. And I think that's so powerful in our business of how can we just get to a place where we're not bracing, we're not holding our breath, we're not waiting for the impact to hit us. And how can that ripple out for you? I really don't think that women need to be machines in order to build a successful business. I think that success doesn't have to require abandoning who you are, your values, who you desire to be. That yes, hard work does matter, but your commitment to building something that will fit your body matters just as much, if not more. A lot of times I've heard the question of, if you knew you could do anything and that you would be successful, how would you do it? And I think part of the question that gets glossed over too much is that if you were really building it in a way that matches the values you have, who you are, that is really where we get to create the system that is fail proof in terms of, am I setting myself up for failure? Because it gets you to this point where you realize that it's not just about following someone's how-to, it's about understanding the purpose, the reason behind it, and being able to make educated decisions, which ultimately gives you so much flexibility. It gives you freedom. It gives you the power to make educated right next steps for you. And I think this is really where we get into the conversation of what does it really mean to build something that's sustainable? And that's literally what it is. It has to be in alignment. And this is how I would define alignment in more detail, because I feel like that's such a fluffy word sometimes. But I think it's so important to have business models that allow us to just remain human, to have human moments, to not constantly feel pressure, to not constantly have to brace ourselves for what could be coming, to actually have businesses that support our lives instead of competing with them. And this is the philosophy, this is the thought process that literally created what now is Audience Growth Engine, because this is about sustainable visibility. It's about, if your real desire, your vision, your mission is to have something that stands the test of time, then we need long-term assets. We need growth that can actually compound over time and that are supported with systems that are able to hold the capacity inside of that system without draining it, without leaking it away. If this is something that really resonates with you, then go ahead and check out the show notes and join the waitlist for Audience Growth Engine so that you can be the first notified when doors open. And if you really love this episode, I would love to hear from you. Feel free to send me a DM if you follow me on TikTok or Instagram, and let me know what you think. But I will see you in the next episode.